My name is Ashley Palaguachi,
And my name is Brian Luna.
and our presentation is about sleep paralysis.
So sleep paralysis is what happens when one is awakened from a deep sleep. But what is different about this is the person will not be able to speak or move, and in some instances, the person will also face hallucinations or even dreams that cause them fear. And now, who does this actually affect? This affects students, young adults, and even psychiatric patients. And I think it's also really important to mention that for the most part, based on studies, it mostly affects women.
Now, how does sleep paralysis happen? The brain becomes conscious before the body regains muscle control from REM sleep. During REM sleep, the pons that are part of the brainstem that controls sleep, dreaming, and breathing, and the medulla that controls heart rate, breathing, and muscle relaxation keeps your muscles turned off, so you don't move during dreams. In sleep paralysis, the pons and medulla continue sending signals that don't allow you to move even after your brain wakes up. Doctors treat it by checking sleep habits and teaching coping strategies to reduce episodes. Sleep paralysis occurs usually when you're waking up or when you're falling asleep. Reasons why you might be getting sleep paralysis could be such as sleep disturbance, your whole schedule being mixed up so you're not getting the right amount of sleep, as well as triggers such as anxiety, stress, or even sleeping on your back. And then as well as you have health and genetics, pretty much if you suffer from depression or anything else in your medical history that could be turned into sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is quite interesting because of all the different experiences people have. Since people can see different figures as well as hear different things, also feel pressure on their chest. Something that's also quite interesting about it is that it's the only time that your mind and body are awake at different times, and it usually would be.
Sleep paralysis affects roughly 7.6% of the population. From this percentage, the people affected are 28.3% students and 31.9% psychiatric patients. Now, why should we even care about this? So if a reasonable sum of the population is being affected by sleep paralysis, this should bring some concern, since sleep paralysis is heavily connected and tied to sleep deprivation, and it also connects to people who have a work shift disorder, which means their sleep is being affected by their job's irregular schedule. It's either too early in the morning or too late at night. And along with this, having mental health problems like anxiety, bipolar disorder has seen some correlation to people who experience sleep paralysis. Now, how does sleep paralysis actually connect to something we learned in class? Well, it actually connected in a few ways, but first off, I'm going to touch on like a more of a conceptual way or the big picture. So when we think about chapter 8, which is called the cell cycle, we know that there's different checkpoints that a cell has to go through before it's actually able to reproduce, separate overall. And now one of the checkpoints is actually called the G0 checkpoint, which if it does go into this stage, it means that the cell is not able to divide and go into mitosis. Now, if we think about sleep paralysis, in normal sleep, you alternate between being fully awake or fully asleep. And during that sleep, you go through 3 to 4 REM cycles, and the REM is just a stage in which you have the most movement in your brain. You tend to dream. Now, since you're in REM sleep, your brain is active, and in order to prevent you from moving, it actually paralyzes your muscles, and this is what signals, I guess, the brain to paralyze you. So now it locks your muscles, it prevents you from moving, and sleep paralysis is basically this between both processes, when your sleep is disrupted and your body is awake, but your brain is awake, but you are not.
Sleep paralysis connects to the nervous system because it happens when the brain and body are awake at different times. During REM sleep, the brainstem keeps the muscles turned off in order to protect us, but sometimes the cerebellum wakes up first while the motor nerves are still blocked. That's why a person is awake but can't move. This also connects to homeostasis because the nervous system is supposed to keep the body balanced and coordinated. During sleep paralysis, the balance is temporarily lost. Therefore, the brain and body are not in sync. So the normal control of movement doesn't match what's happening in the mind. Overall, sleep paralysis is a real-life example of what happens when the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system don't communicate correctly, and when homeostasis in the nervous system is disrupted.
All right, so one interesting question that we did have when doing this research is, as mentioned before, why does sleep paralysis mostly affect women out of the whole population?
Some questions I had while researching about sleep paralysis were what specific part of the brain causes the body to be paralyzed during REM sleep, since they never really pinpointed a certain part of the brain, so I was just curious about that. Another question I had was also about why most people only experience it once, but then others experience it multiple times in their life.